Jake Martinez looked out the small window of the shuttle. Below him, the planet Vex 7 looked like a blue and green marble. It was his third mission to unexplored worlds, but he still felt excited every time. "Landing in 5 minutes," called out the pilot, Tony Rodriguez. "Weather looks clear down there." Jake checked his gear one more time. His rifle was secure on his back. His communication device was working. His uniform was clean and pressed, just like the rules said. He was a good soldier, and he wanted to do his job right. The shuttle touched, down on a flat area near some strange purple trees. Jake and his team of 5 soldiers stepped out onto the alien ground. The air smelled different here, like flowers mixed with metal. The sky was a lighter blue than Earth's sky. "Stay together," Jake told his team. "We don't know what lives here yet." They walked for 2 hours taking pictures and collecting samples. Everything seemed peaceful. The plants were weird but pretty. Small flying creatures that looked like butterflies with 6 wings danced around the flowers. Jake was starting to think this would be an easy mission. Then the storm hit. The sky turned dark in just a few minutes. Lightning flashed in colors Jake had never seen before: purple, green, and bright orange. The wind howled like a monster. Rain fell so hard it felt like tiny hammers hitting his helmet. "Back to the shuttle," Jake yelled, but the wind was too loud. His team could not hear him. They ran toward where they had left the shuttle, but everything looked different in the storm. The purple trees all looked the same. Jake could not see his teammates anymore. The rain was too thick. A bolt of strange lightning hit the ground near Jake. The electric shock knocked him down and made his ears ring. When he got up, his communication device was dead. He was alone. Jake walked for hours trying to find his team or the shuttle. The storm slowly stopped, but he was completely lost. The sun was setting and the alien world looked scary in the dim light. He found a cave in some rocks and decided to rest there for the night. As he sat down, he heard sounds outside. Footsteps. But they were not human footsteps. Jake grabbed his rifle and looked out of the cave. 3 tall figures were walking toward him. In the fading light, he could see they were not human. They were much taller than him, maybe 7 feet tall. Their skin looked blue or purple. They moved like soldiers, careful and alert. The aliens had weapons too. Long spears that glowed with some kind of energy. They wore armor that seemed to be made from the same material as their weapons. But there was something strange about them. They all looked female. Jake tried to hide deeper in the cave, but it was too late. One of the aliens pointed at the cave and made a sound like a bird call. The other 2 moved to block the exit. "Stay back!" Jake yelled, pointing his rifle at them. "I don't want to hurt you!" The aliens stopped and stared at him. They looked confused. One of them said something in their language. It sounded like music mixed with growling. Jake could not understand a word. The alien in front stepped closer. She was clearly the leader. Her armor was fancier and the others looked to her for orders. She stared at Jake like he was the strangest thing she had ever seen. She said something to the other aliens. They all started talking at once, pointing at Jake and making excited sounds. Jake kept his rifle pointed at them, but they did not seem scared. They seemed amazed. The leader alien put down her spear and held up her hands. Jake thought this meant she wanted peace, so he lowered his rifle a little. She took another step closer. Then something very strange happened. The alien reached out and touched Jake's face. Her hand was warm and had only 4 fingers. She made a soft sound like she was surprised. She called to the other aliens who came closer. Before Jake could react, all 3 aliens were around him. They were touching his arms, his hair, his uniform. They seemed fascinated by everything about him. They were not trying to hurt him, but they were definitely not letting him go either. One alien grabbed the sleeve of Jake's uniform and pulled on it. The fabric made a ripping sound. Jake tried to pull away, but another alien grabbed his other arm. They were much stronger than humans. "Hey, stop that," Jake said, but they did not understand. The aliens seemed to think his uniform was part of his body. They pulled and tugged at his clothes, trying to figure out what he was. His jacket came off first, then his shirt. Jake felt embarrassed and scared, but the aliens were not looking at him in a mean way. They looked curious and confused. The leader alien examined Jake's bare chest with great interest. She poked his skin gently, then looked at her own blue arm. She said something to the others that sounded like a question. Jake realized these aliens had never seen a male before. They did not understand what he was. To them, he was as strange as they were to him. The aliens tied Jake's hands with some kind of rope that glowed softly. It did not hurt, but he could not break free. They gave him a cloak to cover himself, which made him feel a little better. As they led him away from the cave, Jake looked back at the sky. Somewhere up there, his team was probably looking for him. He hoped they would find him soon. But as he walked deeper into the alien forest, surrounded by confused warrior women who had never seen a man before, Jake wondered if he would ever see another human again. The alien warriors led Jake through the forest for most of the night. They walked on paths that Jake could not see, moving quietly through the darkness. Jake stumbled often, but the aliens helped him stay on his feet. They seemed to want to keep him safe. When the sun came up, Jake saw their destination. It was a city unlike anything on Earth. The buildings looked like they had grown from the ground instead of being built. They were made of the same glowing material as the aliens' weapons. Tall towers reached toward the sky, connected by bridges that had no supports. Many more aliens came out to see Jake as the warriors brought him into the city. They all looked female to Jake's eyes. They were tall, strong, and beautiful in an alien way. Their blue skin seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. But they all stared at Jake like he was a monster or a miracle. The warriors took Jake to the biggest building in the center of the city. Inside, everything glowed with soft blue light. The walls were covered with pictures and symbols that Jake could not read. Other aliens walked through the halls, all of them stopping to stare at the strange creature the warriors had brought home. They brought Jake to a large room with a high ceiling. At the far end, an alien woman sat on what looked like a throne, made of crystal. She was older than the others, with silver streaks in her dark hair. Her armor was the most beautiful Jake had ever seen, covered in glowing patterns that moved like living things. This had to be their leader. The warriors pushed Jake forward and made him kneel in front of her. The leader alien looked down at Jake, for a long time without saying anything. Her eyes were purple and they seemed to see right through him. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was deep and musical. Jake could not understand her words, but he could tell she was asking questions. The warriors who had captured him answered, pointing at Jake and making gestures. The leader alien stood up and walked down from her throne. She was even taller than the warriors, maybe 8 feet tall. She walked around Jake slowly, looking at him from every angle. Then she did something that surprised Jake. She kneeled down to be at his eye level. She touched Jake's face gently, just like the first alien had done. She looked into his eyes and said something that sounded almost kind. Then she called out and more aliens came into the room. These new aliens looked different. They wore long robes instead of armor, and they carried strange devices that hummed with energy. Jake guessed they were scientists or doctors. They surrounded him and started examining him like he was a new species of animal. The scientists were very interested in Jake's clothes. They had given him back his uniform after the warriors had torn his shirt, but now they wanted to take it off again. Jake tried to stop them, but there were too many of them and they were too strong. They removed his uniform piece by piece, studying each item carefully. They seemed amazed by the zippers and buttons. One scientist spent 10 minutes just opening and closing a zipper on Jake's pocket. Another one was fascinated by his boots, turning them over and over in her hands. When Jake was left in just his underwear, the scientists became even more excited. They had never seen a male body before, and they did not understand what they were looking at. They poked and prodded Jake gently, making notes on devices that looked like glowing tablets. Jake felt embarrassed and scared, but he tried to stay calm. These aliens were not trying to hurt him. They were just trying to understand what he was. To them, he was as strange as they were to him. The leader alien watched everything from her throne. She asked questions, and the scientists answered. Jake could tell they were talking about him, but he had no idea what they were saying. After what felt like hours, the scientists covered Jake with a soft robe and stepped back. The leader alien came down from her throne again and stood in front of Jake. She pointed to herself and said a word slowly. Zara. Jake understood. She was telling him her name. He pointed to himself and said, Jake. Zara tried to repeat his name, but it came out sounding strange in her voice. She smiled, and Jake was surprised to see that her teeth were white and normal-looking, just like a human's. Zara called out, and another alien came forward. This one was younger, with bright green markings on her blue skin. Zara said something to her, and the young alien nodded. The young alien sat down next to Jake and pulled out a glowing tablet. On the screen, she showed Jake pictures. The first picture showed aliens that looked like the ones around him but smaller and different. Jake realized these were pictures of alien children. The next picture showed adult aliens like Zara and the warriors, all female. Then the alien showed Jake a picture that confused him. It showed aliens that looked different, bigger, with different shaped bodies. But there were big red X marks over these pictures. Jake started to understand. The young alien was trying to tell him that there used to be two kinds of aliens on this world. Now there was only one kind. The other kind was gone. Jake pointed to himself, then to the pictures with the X marks. The young alien's eyes went wide. She called to Zara, speaking quickly and excitedly. Zara came over and looked at the pictures. When Jake pointed to himself and then to the marked pictures, Zara's face showed shock and amazement. She said something that sounded like a question. Jake tried to explain using gestures. He pointed to himself, then made a gesture to show he was male. Then he pointed to the pictures of the missing aliens and made the same gesture. Finally, he pointed up at the sky, toward where his ship was. Zara understood. Jake was like the missing aliens from their world, and there were more like him somewhere out there. Zara called out orders and aliens rushed from the room. Jake could tell something big was happening. The aliens were excited and scared at the same time. The young alien, with the tablet, stayed with Jake. She showed him more pictures, trying to teach him their language. Jake learned that her name was Kira. He tried to teach her some English words too. As the day went on, more and more aliens came to see Jake. They all stared at him with wonder and curiosity. Some of them tried to touch his hair or his skin. Jake was starting to understand that he was not just a prisoner. He was something these aliens had thought was impossible. When night fell, they gave Jake a room in the crystal building. It had a soft bed and food that tasted strange but good. Through the window, Jake could see the alien city glowing in the darkness. Somewhere out there, his team was probably still looking for him. Commander Lisa Chen would not give up easily. She was tough and smart, and she cared about her soldiers. But, as Jake lay on the alien bed, he wondered if his team would ever find him. And even if they did, would these aliens let him go? He was something precious to them, something they had lost long ago. Jake closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but he could not stop thinking about the pictures Kira had shown him. What had happened to the male aliens on this world? And what did these female warriors want with him? Jake had been living with the aliens for 2 weeks. Every day, Kira came to teach him their language. She was patient and kind, and Jake was learning fast. The alien language sounded like music, with lots of long vowels and rolling sounds. Jake learned that the aliens called themselves the Kirathi. Their world was called Vec 7 by humans, but they called it Kirania. Kira told him that all Kirathi were warriors because they had to be. They had no choice. Why? Jake asked in broken Kirathi. Kira showed him more pictures on her tablet. She explained that long ago there had been male Kirathi too, but a terrible sickness had killed them all. That was over 1,000 years ago. Since then, only female Kirathi had been born. Jake tried to explain how humans were different. He drew pictures showing men and women working together, having families, building things. Kira looked amazed by these drawings. Males and females work together, she asked. Yes, Jake said. We need each other. This idea was completely new to Kira. She had never seen males and females cooperating. In her world, there were only females, so they had to do everything themselves. Jake also learned why the Kirathi were all warriors. Without males to help them, they had to become very strong to survive. Every Kirathi learned to fight, to build, to farm, and to think. They could not afford to be weak. But Jake noticed something strange. When Kira looked at him, her face would change. Her breathing would get faster. Sometimes she would touch his arm, and then pull her hand away quickly, like she had been burned. Other Kirathi had the same reaction. When they saw Jake, they acted nervous and excited. Some of them would stare at him for a long time. Others would find excuses to touch him. Jake did not understand why. One day, Jake decided to try to escape. He liked Kira and the other Kirathi, but he missed his team. He needed to get back to his ship and tell them about this amazing discovery. Jake had been watching the guards. They changed shifts every few hours. There was always a short time when no one was watching his room. Jake waited for the right moment. When the guards changed at midnight, Jake slipped out of his room. He had memorized the path through the crystal building. He moved quietly through the glowing halls, trying to find a way out. Jake made it to the main entrance, but there was a problem. The door was locked with some kind of alien technology. Jake could not figure out how to open it. Jake? He turned around. Kira was standing behind him, wearing a simple robe instead of her usual armor. She looked sad. You want to leave? She said in Kirathi. I have to, Jake replied. My friends are looking for me. They are worried. Kira stepped closer. In the dim light, Jake could see tears in her purple eyes. I understand, she said. But if you leave, you will never come back. Maybe I will, Jake said. Maybe my people and your people can be friends. Kira shook her head. Zara will not let you go. You are too important. You are the first male we have seen in 1,000 years. Jake realized that Kira was right. The Kirathi would never let him leave voluntarily. He was too valuable to them. Will you help me? Jake asked. Kira was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. I will help you contact your ship, she said, but I cannot help you escape. That would be treason. Kira led Jake to a different part of the building. This area was full of machines that hummed and glowed. Jake realized this was some kind of communication center. The Kirathi have been listening to signals from space for many years, Kira explained. We know there are other species out there. We just never made contact. She showed Jake a machine that looked like a radio but much more advanced. Can you use this to call your ship? Jake looked at the alien controls. They were completely different from human technology, but the basic idea was the same. He started pressing buttons and turning dials, trying to find the right frequency. After an hour of trying, Jake heard something that made his heart jump. A human voice, speaking English. This is the USS Liberty calling any survivors on Vex 7. Please respond. It was Commander Lisa Chen. Jake grabbed the microphone and spoke. Commander Chen, this is Staff Sergeant Martinez. I am alive and safe. There was a long pause. Then Lisa's voice came back, full of relief and excitement. Jake, thank God. Where are you? We've been searching for 2 weeks. I am with the native aliens, Commander. They are called the Kirathi. They are not hostile, but they will not let me leave. Are you injured? No, Commander. But there is something you need to know. These aliens are all female. They have never seen males before. They think I am some kind of miracle. Another pause. Then Lisa spoke again, her voice serious. Jake, we have a problem. Our scans show alien ships moving toward your location. It looks like they heard our transmissions. Jake looked at Kira. She was listening to something on another machine. Her face was pale. Jake, she said urgently. Kirathi, patrol ships are coming back early. They heard your transmission. You need to go back to your room now. Jake spoke quickly into the microphone. Commander, the aliens know about our communication. I have to go. Try to contact their leader, Zara. Maybe we can work out a peaceful solution. Be careful, Jake. We are coming for you. Jake and Kira ran back through the halls. They made it to Jake's room just as the guards returned. Kira squeezed Jake's hand quickly before leaving. But their secret did not last long. The next morning, Zara came to Jake's room with 6 guards. She looked angry and disappointed. You tried to escape, she said in Kirathi. Yes, Jake replied. He saw no point in lying. And Kira helped you. Jake's heart sank. He did not want Kira, To get in trouble because of him. It was my idea, Jake said. Kira tried to stop me. Zara stared at Jake for a long time. Then she surprised him by smiling. You are loyal to your friends, she said. That is good. But you are also loyal to Kira. That is interesting. Zara stepped closer to Jake. Your ship is coming, is it not? Jake nodded. Good, Zara said. It is time for the Kirathi to meet more humans, but especially more males. Jake felt confused. You want to meet more humans? Oh yes, Zara said, her smile growing wider. If there are more males like you in the universe, the Kirathi need to know about them. We have been alone for too long. Zara turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at Jake. Your friend Kira is not in trouble, but she will be moved to a different job. She has become too attached to you. After Zara left, Jake sat on his bed and thought about what she had said. The Kirathi wanted to meet more humans, especially males. That could be good or very bad. Jake looked out his window at the glowing alien city. Somewhere out there, Kira was probably being reassigned because she had feelings for him. And somewhere in space, his commander was bringing more humans toward this world. Jake hoped that when the two species finally met face to face, it would be as friends and not as enemies. But he was starting to worry that the Kirathi might have plans for human males that his people would not like. 3 days later, Jake heard the sound he had been waiting for. The deep rumble of human ships flying overhead. He ran to his window and saw them, 3 small combat shuttles from the USS Liberty, flying in formation over the Kirathi city. The Kirathi were not ready for this. Alarms started ringing throughout the crystal buildings. Warriors ran through the streets, grabbing their weapons and looking up at the sky. Jake had never seen them look scared before. Zara burst into Jake's room with a squad of guards. She was wearing her full battle armor and her spear was glowing bright blue. Your people have come, she said. Are they here to make war? Not if you let me talk to them, Jake replied. Commander Chen is smart. She will listen to reason. Zara looked uncertain. The Kirathi have never dealt with other species before. We do not know how to do this. Just do not attack first, Jake said. Let them land and talk. Through his window, Jake could see the human shuttles circling the city. They were looking for a safe place to land. The Kirathi warriors on the ground were pointing their weapons at the sky, but they were not firing yet. Zara spoke into a communication device, giving orders in rapid Kirathi. Jake caught some of the words. She was telling her warriors to hold their fire but be ready for anything. One of the human shuttles landed in the large plaza in front of Zara's building. The other 2 stayed in the air, providing cover. Jake watched. As the shuttle's door opened and soldiers stepped out, Commander Lisa Chen was the first one out. Jake felt a rush of relief when he saw her familiar face. Behind her came 5 more soldiers, 3 men and 2 women. They all had their weapons ready but pointed down, showing they came in peace. The Kirathi warriors surrounded the humans immediately. But something strange happened. As soon as the Kirathi saw the male soldiers, they stopped moving. They stared at the men like they were seeing ghosts. One young Kirathi warrior dropped her spear completely. She walked closer to Sergeant Mike Brown, one of Jake's teammates. She reached out toward his face just like they had done to Jake when they first found him. Stay calm, Mike, Commander Chen said into her radio. Let her look, but do not let your guard down. The Kirathi warrior touched Mike's cheek gently. He stood very still, not sure what to do. The warrior made the same soft sound that Jake had heard before, amazement and wonder. More Kirathi warriors started moving toward the human men. They seemed to forget all about the women soldiers, or the fact that this was supposed to be a military standoff. They were fascinated by the males. Commander, called out Sergeant Linda Parker, one of the female soldiers. They are completely ignoring us. They only care about the men. Lisa Chen was a smart woman. She quickly understood what was happening. All male soldiers stand perfectly still. Let them look but do not engage. Female soldiers, keep your weapons ready, but do not threaten them. From his window, Jake watched the surreal scene. Kirathi, warriors who should have been fighting, were instead clustering around the male soldiers, touching their uniforms and trying to understand what they were seeing. One warrior tried to remove Mike's helmet. Another was examining Sergeant Dan Wilson's boots with great interest. A third warrior was pulling at Dan's sleeve, just like they had done to Jake. "Hey," Dan said, as his sleeve tore. "This is my good uniform." Zara's voice boomed across the plaza. She was speaking in Karathi, but Jake could tell she was giving orders. The warriors reluctantly stepped back from the human men, but they kept staring. Zara walked down the steps of her building to meet Commander Chen. The two women faced each other, one human, one alien, both clearly leaders. "I am Zara, matriarch of the Karathi," Zara said in careful English. Jake was surprised she knew his language. "I am Commander Lisa Chen of the human ship Liberty," Lisa replied. "I have come for my soldier." "Jake is safe," Zara said, "but he is very important to us. We cannot simply give him back." "Why not?" Lisa asked. Zara gestured to the Karathi warriors still staring at the human men. "Because we have not seen males in 1,000 years. Your soldiers are proof that males can exist, that they can be strong and intelligent, and work with females as equals." Lisa looked around at the scene. She was beginning to understand the situation. "You are all female," she said. "Yes," Zara replied. "All Karathi for the last 1,000 years have been female. We thought males were impossible. Then we found Jake." At that moment, Jake appeared at the entrance to the building. Zara had decided to let him come down and help with the negotiations. "Commander!" Jake called out, running toward his team. "Jake!" Mike and Dan started toward him, but they were immediately blocked by Karathi warriors. "It is all right," Zara said. "Let them greet their friend." Jake hugged his teammates, feeling happier than he had in weeks. But he noticed the Karathi warriors watching every move the men made. They seemed to study how the human males interacted with each other and with Lisa. "Are you injured?" Lisa asked Jake. "No, Commander. The Karathi have treated me well. They are not enemies, they are just confused." "Confused about what?" Jake looked at Zara, who nodded for him to explain. "They want to understand how human males and females work together," Jake said. "They have been alone for so long they forgot how cooperation between sexes is supposed to work." Lisa looked thoughtful. "What do they want from us?" Zara answered for herself. "We want to learn. We want to understand how to bring males back to our world. And we want to know if humans will help us." "Help you how?" "Our scientists believe human genetic material might help us restore male Karathi," Zara explained. "But we need cooperation, not conquest." During this conversation, something interesting was happening with the soldiers. The Karathi warriors had started talking to the human females. Without the distraction of males to stare at, they were finally noticing Linda and the other female soldier, Amy Roberts. The Karathi seemed amazed to see females who worked alongside males as equals. In their society, females did everything because they had to. But human females chose to be warriors while males also chose to be warriors. "This is fascinating," said one Karathi scientist who had joined the group. "Male and female humans fight, together by choice, not necessity." "Of course we do," Linda said. "We are partners." The word partners seemed to confuse the Karathi. Zara asked Jake to explain what it meant. "It means we choose to work together," Jake said in Karathi. "Males and females are different, but we are equal. We help each other." This concept seemed to blow the minds of every Karathi present. They started talking excitedly among themselves. Commander Chen made a decision. "Zara, I propose a temporary ceasefire. Let us take time to understand each other before we decide what to do next." "Agreed," Zara said. "But your males must stay where we can study them. We have much to learn." "Study them?" Lisa asked suspiciously. "Not experiments," Zara said quickly. "Just observation. We want to see how they behave, how they think, how they interact with females." Lisa looked at Jake. "What do you think?" Jake thought about Kira and all the Karathi who had been kind to him. They deserved a chance to understand humans better. "I think we should try, Commander, but we need rules to keep everyone safe." And so began the strangest diplomatic mission in human history. 3 species meeting for the first time, with one side desperate to understand something they had lost centuries ago. 2 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and Kirathi. The Crystal City had become a place of constant learning and discovery. Jake had become the official translator and cultural guide, helping both species understand each other. Commander Chen had brought more people from the USS Liberty. Scientists, doctors, and diplomats all wanted to study this amazing alien society. In return, the Kirathi shared their advanced technology and genetic knowledge. The biggest change was in how the Kirathi viewed relationships. Before meeting humans, they had never seen males and females working together. Now they watched human couples with fascination. Jake had taught them about marriage, families, and partnerships. The concepts were completely new to them. Kirathi had children through genetic engineering, but they had never experienced romantic love or the bond between male and female partners. Dr. Sarah Kim, the chief scientist from the Liberty, worked closely with Kirathi geneticists. They were trying to understand why male Kirathi had died out and how they might be brought back. The plague that killed Kirathi males also damaged their genetic code, Dr. Kim explained to Jake one day. But human male DNA might provide the missing pieces. Jake nodded. He had volunteered to help with the genetic research. It felt strange to know that his DNA might help create an entire new generation of alien males. Kira had been assigned to work with the human team. Jake was happy to see her again, but their relationship had become complicated. She had developed feelings for him that she did not fully understand. In human society, would you and I be partners? Kira asked Jake one day as they walked through the city. Jake did not know how to answer. He cared about Kira, but she was an alien from a completely different world. How could such a relationship work? I do not know, he said honestly. We are very different. But you feel something for me, Kira said. I can see it in your eyes. Jake could not deny it. He did have feelings for Kira. She was intelligent, brave, and kind. But she was also 7 feet tall with blue skin and came from a society that had never seen a male before. Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Something was happening at the research center. They ran to the laboratory where Dr. Kim and the Kirathi scientists were working. Inside, there was great excitement. Dr. Kim was standing next to a glowing tank filled with blue liquid. We did it, she said with tears in her eyes. The first male Kirathi in 1,000 years. Inside the tank, a small alien baby was floating. It looked like the female Kirathi, but different, smaller with different bone structure. Jake realized he was looking at the first male of a species he had helped to save. Zara was there, staring at the tank with amazement. After all these centuries, she whispered, our males have returned. But the celebration was interrupted by a commotion outside. Jake heard shouting and the sound of weapons charging up. Something was wrong. They ran outside to see human and Kirathi soldiers surrounding a group of strange aliens. These new aliens were tall and gray with large black eyes. Jake had never seen them before. Commander Chen was talking to the leader of the gray aliens. Her voice was tense. I am Commander Chen of the United Earth Navy. You are in violation of this planet's sovereignty. The gray alien leader spoke in a mechanical voice. We are the Voidborn Collective. We claim this world and its genetic resources for our empire. Jake felt his blood go cold. These aliens were here to take over Vex 7. They wanted to steal the Kirathi's advanced genetic technology. This world is under the protection of the Earth-Kirathi Alliance, Commander Chen said firmly. You have no authority here, humans, the Voidborn leader replied. Surrender now and we will allow you to leave. Zara stepped forward, her spear glowing with energy. This is our world. You are not welcome here. The Voidborn leader looked at Zara with contempt. Your species is weak. You have no males. You cannot fight a real war. That was a mistake. Jake saw Zara's eyes flash with anger. Around the plaza, Kirathi warriors raised their weapons. You are wrong, Zara said coldly. We are not weak, and we are no longer alone. At that moment, something beautiful happened. Human and Kirathi soldiers moved to stand together. Male and female human and alien, all united against a common threat. Jake found himself standing between Kira and Sergeant Mike Brown. They looked at each other and nodded. Whatever differences they had, they would fight together. The battle was swift but fierce. The Voidborn had expected to find a world of weakened females and primitive humans. Instead, they faced a united force of advanced alien warriors and experienced human soldiers. Jake fought alongside Kira, watching her move with deadly grace. She protected him while he provided covering fire for her attacks. They worked together like they had been partners for years. Commander Chen and Zara coordinated their forces perfectly. Human technology combined with Karathi weapons proved devastating against the Voidborn ships. Within hours, the invaders were defeated. Some escaped, but their main force was destroyed or captured. As the smoke cleared, Jake looked around at the battlefield. Humans and Karathi had fought and bled together. They had proven that their alliance was real. "We make a good team," Kira said, helping Jake to his feet. "Yes, we do," Jake replied, looking into her purple eyes. That night, there was a celebration in the Crystal City. The first male Karathi had been born, and their world had been defended by the new alliance between species. Jake stood on a balcony with Commander Chen, looking out over the glowing city. "So what happens now?" she asked. "I think I am going to stay," Jake said. "The Karathi still need help understanding human culture, and I want to see how their society changes as more males are born." "And Kira?" Chen asked with a smile. Jake smiled back. "I think we are going to try being partners. It will not be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is." Below them, human and Karathi children played together in the streets. The first generation of a new alliance, growing up seeing cooperation between species as normal. Dr. Kim approached them with her tablet, showing genetic scans. "The male Karathi is healthy and growing fast," she reported, "and we have genetic material to create more. Within a generation, the Karathi will have both males and females again." "What about the Voidborn?" Jake asked. "Will they come back?" "Probably," Chen said, "but when they do, they will face both Earth and Karathi fleets together. That should give them something to think about." Zara joined them on the balcony. She had removed her battle armor and looked peaceful for the first time since Jake had met her. "Thank you," she said to Jake. "You have given us back something we thought was lost forever." "We have all learned from each other," Jake replied. "That is what partners do." As the alien suns set over Vex 7, Jake thought about how much had changed. Since that first day when he had crashed in the storm, he had come to this world as a lost soldier. Now he was part of something bigger, an alliance that would change the galaxy. Kira appeared beside him, taking his hand in her four-fingered one. It felt right. "Ready for tomorrow?" she asked. Jake squeezed her hand and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching and learning about this new alliance. Some would want to join it. Others would want to destroy it. But Jake was no longer afraid. He had learned that males and females, humans and aliens, could accomplish anything when they worked together as partners. "Ready," he said. And in the laboratory below, the first male Karathi in 1,000 years opened his eyes and saw a universe full of possibilities.